What's up, brick builders? Today's build is the experimental aircraft. This is the Model B of the ultralight helicopter, set number 42057. Year it came out, 2017. Age group, 8 to 14 years. Number of parts, 199 parts. Lots of little pins. Not too bad. Price per piece, 8 pence. Not too bad at all. Cost in 2017 was $14.99. Brand new, if you have one mint in box good condition, now you're looking at £27. Not a great investment. Used, you're looking at £8 to £13. Hello, folks. Sean from BRIT'N Bricks. How you doing? I hope you are all well. Yep, we've done the main build of this, and this is now the experimental aircraft. Honestly, I don't think I would fly in it. Let's have a quick look at it. Here's our parts. We got the instructions coming up as well right here, so I'll pop those up for you. There we go. That should be your instructions right there. Just double check that. Yep, looks good to me. Panels, rotor, chair, wheel, a couple of beams. Get the panels out of the way, because if I remember rightly, there was quite a few of those. Experimental aircraft, huh? I don't know. It feels like on this set that they were kind of grasping at straws on what to make with this to make it a 2-in-1, I think. That's my personal opinion. It might be absolutely fantastic when it's done. I'm not saying that it's not fantastic either. But yeah, I don't think it's something I would be caught flying in, to be honest. Right, 11 hole black beam. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 3 holes, and then we're dropping a pin. Long pin is short pin in first, so 3 holes and then drop. And then we've got a 2-hole connector with a red axle. So we've got 2-hole connector, it's got the axle hole, it's got the pinhole, red axle, pop that in there, and that's going over the blue pin as well, like so. Then we got the 5-axle with a stopper on the end. It's our 5-axle with a stopper. It's going in 2 holes and then drop. And then we're going to put that in place with a large bushing, like so. That should have rotation. 2 white L shapes, small. So we got the big ones, we got the small ones. So we're taking the small ones, turning it around. It's the headboard, the foot of the bed, right there. So we're putting a pin in at the foot of the bed, and then we got a pin coming in on the other side next to that and the headboard. So it looks like that. And then we've got black pin with collar. Black pin with collar. And we'll knock everything about. There we go. Black pin with collar is going into the base of the headboard, basically the elbow. And then we've got a grey pin with axle and pin is going in to the end of that. And then we got a dark grey sleeve going on top of this black pin here. So we want a dark grey smooth sleeve. Dark grey smooth sleeve. There's one. That's going to go over the pin, and then we're going to close that off with a another small L shape. And like so. And then we're going to drop in a blue pin with axle right next to that grey pin there. So we've got blue pin with axle right there. Turn it upside down, and then we're going to attach it to the 11 black beam, and these 2 pins here are going to go into the last 2 holes of the beam on the same side as the 5 long axle. Skipped a few places there. Grey axle with a grey pin with axle, so it is a pin for the most part, and it's got an axle at the end going into the back of another black pin with a collar, like so. Then we got 2 periscopes. There's one that's going to go over one side, and there's a second one, and that's going to go over like that. Then we're going to extend that with the 4 axles. So we've got 4 axles going in each end of the periscope. Oops. Like that. Kind of look like cannons. Then we go put a 2-hole axle connector over the top of that. Keep those in place so they don't wobble around. Still looks like a cannon. Then we got 1-hole connector with axle going on either side, and they're going to be facing out with the hole facing up. Then we're going to drop 2 blue pins. We're not dropping them all the way, so we're going to push these through later. So just put your finger behind the hole, wait until it touches your finger, and stop. There you go. So it's like that. Then we're going to flip that over like so, and then we're going to connect this to this part here. So it's going to in behind the L shape like that. Looks like the engine next. So a 6-axle 2-hole axle connector and a 3-axle. Remember the even numbers are black for the most part, and the odd numbers are grey. That's not quite how it is all the way through, but for the most part that is pretty the easiest way to know which size axles you're getting. And we got these, I think they're 3-angle, 4-angle. These 4-angle connectors on the ends here, like handlebars. And then we've got 1-hole connector going on one side, and it's axle hole, so it goes down the axle there. And then we're going to put a red 2-pin connector with a hole in the middle, hole facing up, and then we're going to close that off with another 1-hole connector with axle. So axle, you got to line the pin up, so give it a bit of a wiggle, and you should have something like that. 2 blue pins are going to be dropping in here, and again, like last time, don't push them all the way through. So just push that in. Oh, that's in the short end, like that. They're ready to be pushed through. So we're turning it like that. Oh, and then we're making the pistons. Right, so we want a crank, we want a 4-axle, then we want a piston arm. I want a piston arm. Oh, piston arm. There we go. That's one. And then we got another one with the crank on the other side. Actually, nope. That's saying it's turning it around. It's not saying it's turning it around at all, is it? I'm going the wrong way. That way. Now we want another piston arm. There it is. Facing into each other like that. Then we close it off with another crank. And that is going to drop down, so it's down, up, drop down, and that's it. Then we're going to put the piston heads on, and then this is going to join this. Black axle is going through this hole here. like so. Then we're going to hold that axle in place with a large tanned gear, like that. Turn it around. You wouldn't get much going on, but there is some movement there. It's not until you get the engine blocks together. And speaking of engine blocks, here we go. We got turn it on its side, okay, and then we're using periscope, smooth periscope connectors. Usually it's black pins, but I'll go with this. That's going to go on there, and this cylinder is going to go through there. So you line it up like so. And then it looks like we're pushing a pin home. Right, so it goes into there, like that. Now that block's secure, and you could actually test it out. So same again with the other side. Yep. So these periscopes are keeping the engine blocks in place, so it would seem. So same again, cylinder into the hole, and then the smooth periscope along the axle, and then push the blue pin home. A bit of a wiggle, bit more of a wiggle. There we go. And now you should see the full result. And there we go. To that we are going to be adding two 1-hole connectors, white with axle on the ends of these pins, and then we're putting red axles in the top of those. So we got another one and a red axle. Like so. Straighten it up a little bit, give it a bit of OCD treatment. And then we got an axle, 4-axle with stopper going through here, and then we got a moon gear running on this. So we want 4-axle with stopper. Pop that through the hole. That's not what I was expecting. Okay, let's put that back in the crank there. I was not expecting that. Come on. Where are you? Oh, trying to line up the wrong hole. There we go. Got it. Now we want the moon gear. So we take the moon gear, pop that onto the axle like that. Try and manipulate it a little bit until those teeth meet up, and then you should have... They're kind of slipping at the moment, I think, because there's not much stability in it yet. Oh, those are designed to flex as well. That's cool. That might actually have something to do with it. Oh, when they're putting the 40th anniversary, I've got to find it. The 40th anniversary. There we are. 40th anniversary Lego 3-hole bar, and we're closing that off with another black pin with collar, and there it is. I go onto the top to keep that pin. Now it's not slipping. Now we've got it all closed in. So yep, I'm happy with that. With that slipping, I was a little bit like, have I done something wrong here? So the crank is going to go through this hole here on this connector that we put in earlier, like that. And then you're pushing these 2 blue pins home into the other side of the engine blocks, and that will keep the engine blocks in place, and everything else is a bit more stable. Give it a bit of a whirl, make sure that everything's still running smoothly. It is. So next part. Next part is we are lifting these up. Oh no, these are going down like that. Okay. And then we're pushing these pins through. Right, okay. Quite sure why exactly, but it does fasten it to the end of the L shapes there. Oop. And then we're adding the prop on the end. And we do have something to hold on to, but not much. Let's add this on here for now. There you go. And there you can see it working. So I'll pull that back off. Right, looks like the front and the steering wheel, or flight stick, because let's face it, planes don't have steering wheels, do they? One hole, axle connector, three axle, and let's go to the axle hole, and then we're going to tilt it so it's like that. The hole up, and then we're going to put two small axle hole plates, and one's going to go to the left and the other one is going to go to the right. Might look different on the camera because I've got it mirrored. And then we've got a blue pin coming into this side here, and it's short end in, so it'll be like that. And we are with another small L plate. Again, it's a bed, headboard, bed, foot of the bed, and this is going to go, black pin is going to go into the elbow of the bed, and then this is going to pin onto the blue pin like so. So the L shape is resting on these two axle hole plates. Then we got 5 axle, a black ET head. There it is. And I'm just going to put that in there first to prime it, and then I'm going to pop this through into the axle hole like so. I'm not sure if it goes all the way through yet. It kind of does. It's showing a picture of it, so I may have this upside down. Yeah, I forgot the 3-hole bar, didn't I? Grey pin with axle, and grey pin's going to go all the way through. The axle's going to poke out. That's going to go into the hole next to it. There we go. And then the ET head is going to go onto that axle there, and then you're going to push the axle through here like that, and that's how it should be. We got the steering column, so we got a we got a blue axle going through a axle periscope, so we got a blue pin going through the axle periscope, and then we got this flight stick. It says steering column, but it is a flight stick, and then that's going to go into the headboard like that. And then we're going to close it off with another L shape. So we need the smaller L shape. I got a big white L shape, but not a small L shape. Oh. There it is. Hiding on my white desk. Right. 3 axles to line up, 1 pin. Not too difficult. Just make sure you don't move the axles too much. There we go. And there you go. There's a very floppy, oh dear, a very floppy flight stick there. And once that's on, we're putting a pin with axle, blue pin with axle in the elbow of the bed, and next to that is a black pin, so it kind of matches up with those two there. And then we got the wheel. So we have the wheel, a tanned axle with pin, much like the blue one, except for these are frictionless, so you should have that. Should have some motion. You put the blue pin on. These have friction bars. See, you cannot spin it very easily. So that's what these tan pins are. They're frictionless. Then we're going to put some panels on either side, like that. And then we're putting the 5.5 axles, so long axle, then it's got a collar, then it's got a short axle, and it's going to be the short axle end in to each of these panels, like so. It's kind of like a wheelbarrow. And then these are going to go into the black ET head all the way through into these 2 plates here, and that will hold those in place. Now, do I have to push them all the way up? Yes. All the way up. There we go. And then we've got some panels going off the end here as well. I'm not quite sure what happened to this one. It's the same one. Like that. Cool. And then we have a blue pin going straight through the top of this bar here. And then we got the 2 axle hole connectors and a 4 axle. So we want one of these, a 4 axle, and we're making 2 of those. There's another one of those and a 4 axle right next to me. And then these are going to pin onto that blue pin there on either side. Like that. This looks kind of cool, actually. It does actually kind of look cool. I'm not quite sure about this though, the old floppy flight stick thing. Oh, that's awkward. Okay. Right, so we've got the axle, periscope, and a fire hydrant. Join them together, both holes facing the same way, so holes facing up, and this is going to go onto here and join these together. Like that. Next, we're putting it to the frame. Okay, so these 2 last pins are going into these last holes here. So it goes like that. Honestly, I thought this was going to be our wheel because it moves. But it's not. It's going to be the seat, isn't it? That's what it's going to be. Right. Put decals on seat, but we're not going to do that because James never did that. And yes, it is going on there. Yep. Okay. So I'll have the model facing the same way as shown. Put that on there. And then close it off with a large grey bushing. Put your thumb behind that axle though, because you might push the axle out. And then we're going to close that off. The 11-hole beam, 1 blue pin, and 3 holes, 1, 2, 3, and drop the pin, short end in, like so. And then we got the 1 axle hole connector, 1 hole axle beam with the blue pin with axle. It's going into the axle hole, and then goes onto the pin, line up the other pin and push it through. And then we're going to add that to the other side. So those 2 there. So we got 4, is it 4 pins? No, it looks like 3 pins to line up. It's not too terrible, he says. Oh, we actually got, yeah, we got axles to line up as well. Forgot about that. Right. Not too terrible, he says. And let's try the front instead. I've done some washing up, so my hands are a little bit smooth. Oh yeah, look at that. The front goes on no problem. So the back needs a bit of a wiggle, and the front just sprung off. But there we go. We got it. Got it. It's looking pretty slick, actually. It's looking pretty slick, to be fair. And we got the shorter panels, and then we're turning it over, and then we're putting the periscope, smooth periscope, in 1 hole here, hole facing up, and then we've got the rotor blade and a blue axle with pin, and then that is going to go into the corner there. So it's kind of like that. It's an interesting part usage. Then it's going into this blue pin here. So it's actually working as a body panel. That's cool. That's actually quite cool. I've seen these blades used for various other things, but yeah, that is the first time actually I've seen that. So we're running this blue pin. This blue pin? Or we got to put a blue pin in there. Ah, yeah, there's a blue pin. So we're running that blue pin. I put that in wrong. I think that goes like that. Like that. Like that. Yeah. So then we got the 2 blue pins sitting out there. Next, same side, or the other side. We've got the smooth periscope, smooth periscope. There we go. Into the hole facing up, and then the blade with blue pin with axle, and then it's going to go into the corner here. Like so. And then don't forget the pin this time, which would be really helpful. Putting it long ways in, and then popping it onto this pin here, the blue pin in the back. That was the wrong hole. There we go. Push it down, and give it a bit of a wiggle and line them up, and there you go. It's actually quite a cool build. I'll give it that. Honestly, I didn't know what to think when I saw it, but yeah, it's starting to interest me a little bit more. So we got a 5-axle with a large bushing, and where did that large bushing just go? There it is. So the large bushing is going to be held in there. So we need to put the axle through first, then into the chair that I just pushed down. Into the chair to hold that in place, and then hold this right there so the axle can go through. Why we don't have another bushing there, I don't know. Kind of looks better with that bushing there, doesn't it? So maybe it's just because the set only came with a certain amount of bushing, so that would be probably something I would add to it if I had this set, which is to be putting that other bushing on there. Okay, so then we got these tubes. We want some fire hydrants. Got some fire hydrants. It's going to go into the bottom of the fire hydrant, and then it's going to connect to these two axles here. So I would be tempted to put the axle, the fire hydrants on their place first, and then bend the tubes, but that doesn't seem to work. So I'm going to try and gently put these in here first, and then oh, I see, that actually does slope. Right, okay. Try that again then. And a fire hydrant. There we go. On the bottom. And then on the axle. And then you should be able to manipulate it going in there, because then you don't have to line up the fire hydrant, do you? There we go. Some nice curves for the cockpit there. Possibly. And so we got 3-axle, axle connector, 10 pin with axle, and then a wheel, right? And we're doing 2 of those. So 3-axle, axle connector, 10 pin with axle. Again, 10 pins, frictionless. Your wheels move. And these are going to go onto the ends of these red angled pieces that we put in earlier. So we got this funny, weird wheel angle again, like we did with the helicopter, but it actually does work. It does actually work, which is kind of bizarre. I may have to take back the beginning comment of maybe they were clutching at straws with this, because it does seem to be coming together pretty okay. All right, so we got 2 black pins, 1 in either side. So 1 there and 1 there. And then we're putting some arms on. So we got the axle periscope with red angle. Have the holes facing the same way. And then we are attaching those to the pins. And then we're putting another panel on the end there. And then we're joining that with red axle. So we've got pop red axle in there. Put the panel on there. And that looks like it's going to be one of the wings, so it's going to attach to these black pins here, like that. Kind of gives you that airline wing shape thing that they do at the end of their wing tips nowadays. That's the technical term for it, by the way, the airline wing shape thing. So black pin, and the angle get a red axle, get the axle periscope, make sure your holes are facing the same way, and the panel. Yep. Pop that onto the 2 pins, like so, and then onto the 2 blue pins there. And there you have your wings. I think that looks like it's done. I don't know. Yeah, that's it. That's it done. Look how many pieces you get left over. That's actually quite cool. There's quite a bit here that you can mess around with. So you got 2 small bushings here that you could put in between these holes, because there's 2 there and there's 2 there, and that might give it a little bit more aesthetics as well. Just for tidying it up and that lot. The floppy steering wheel or flight stick, I'm not I'm not a big fan of. It would have been cool if there was some roller motion and these the propeller would rotate. That would be kind of cool. That, you know, that's obviously an idea for a mock. It does roll, surprisingly, with the angled tires and stuff like that. It was pretty cool build. It looks alright. Yeah, it looks alright. I think it might look better if there was stickers on it, but we're not doing that because it was James's Lego and he never did. So it adds the value to it, doesn't it? But yeah, it would have been cool if we'd have rolled that this would have rotated, so we would probably hooked up something along here just to give it a little bit of fun. It looks okay, actually. It does look okay. Oh, there you go, folks. The experimental aircraft. I would definitely see why it's called the experimental aircraft. There's a bit of potential in here to do something to make it a little bit better and stuff like that. Certainly make it larger so that you did have this function. That'd be cool. And maybe an opening cockpit. Some wheels folding up, unless they don't look like they really fold up, do they? They look like, I have no idea. Anyway, folks, if you enjoy what you see, give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down. Don't be shy. Drop a comment. We're getting loads of comments and I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everybody getting in touch and just taking part. Hit that like button, smash that like button, and if you feel like it, subscribe. Thank you so much. All of that is so much welcome, not necessary. Thank you so much, folks. I'm Sean from BRIT'N. Peace.